Have you ever wondered who Chief Leshai was? Why was his name on buses, or why was there a school named after him? Well, I have your answer. Chief Leshai was a legendary leader for his tribe. He was also known to be kind to the American settlement, also known as the Whites. The American settlement gave the tribe a Medicine Creek Treaty, which was a 2-square-mile reservation with no access to the Nisqually River to the tribe that has lived and fished there for many generations. Some claim that Chief Leshai signed it with an X besides his name. Others claim he didn't and that it was forged. But then there was an Indian War which happened in 1855 to 1856, and he led 300 people. After the war happened, Chief Leshai was convicted for the murder of Colonel A. Benton Moses. He then hid for a few months, but was then turned in by one of his people and later then was killed.
His first trial resulted in a hung jury where his attorney argued that he did not kill Colonel Moses and he was killed during warfare, which meant that there were casualties on both sides.
Also, Chief Leshai was not in the area where it happened. Chief Leshai was then hanged on February 19, 1858. Many believed in his innocence, including his hangman Charles Granger, who said, "I felt then I was hanging an innocent man, and I believe it yet." After that, years later, there were schools, roads, and buses named after Chief Leshai, even monuments.
But what was really important for his justice was that on December 10, 2004, a special historical court exonerated Chief Leshai. State Supreme Court Justice Jerry Alexander announced a decision stating Chief Leshai should not, as a matter of law, have been tried for the crime of murder, which brought many cheers to others.
In early 2016, there was a protest known as the #NoDAPL with the Sioux tribe in their land. The pipeline was to run from North Dakota to southern Illinois. The pipeline was believed to contaminate the tribe's water source and run through their sacred lands. Also, it was the land that their ancestors protected for generations. In the summer, as they protested and prayed, their social media attention grew as it was international.
Thousands of people joined and camped out with them near the river. Then finally in December, President Barack Obama denied the pipeline. The tribe and others celebrated as they got their victory and thought they had finally got their justice for their land. But then, January 24th, 2017, when the new president, Donald Trump, signed to reverse Obama's order, which approved the pipeline. At that point, the amount of protesters decreased and the protests lost their social media attentions.
The tribe protested even more. There were 300 injured and over 487 arrested. The enforcement sprayed the protesters with mace, beat them, shot them with rubber bullets and water cannon. As the tribe kept praying and did no harm to enforcement, they lost their land and their pipeline leaked multiple times.
Henrietta Lacks is the woman that the HeLa cells were named after. She was a woman who died of cervical cancer. She had a husband who was her cousin and had 5 kids. As she had many injuries, she would deny care and kept working for her family. When she finally felt something, she then went to the Johns Hopkins Hospital, which was one of the few hospitals to treat poor African Americans and people of color.
I examined and found out she had a tumor in her. Her cells was then swapped without her knowing as she was getting examined and treated. Her cells were sent to Dr. George Guy's lab. He collected samples from any patient that went to the Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Each cell died, but unlike Henrietta's cells, they doubled every 20 to 24 hours. When Dr. Guy discovered this, many other doctors wanted some too. So Dr. Guy sold it to them. He made money off her cells without Henrietta's or her family's knowledge. To this day, Henrietta's cells help for many researchers, and her family does not get anything from it.
In the book called The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, this is how she viewed everything. When you view the system as a whole, you'll understand how people of color get trapped in a cage. The war on drugs was towards people of color because it was believed that people of color had a higher rate of doing drugs than white people, which happened in 3 phases. The first phase was police being able to round up as many people as possible for drug investigations, and they were able to rely on race for this to select. The second phase was them being convicted and pressuring them to plead guilty, even if they are not. The police were also able to charge them with extra charges.
When they are released, they go to a much bigger invisible cage. The laws are supporting the fact that they were never able to go into white society where they will be discriminated against legally and forever, denied things like basic rights. Then, when they can't handle it anymore, they return to prison, and it happens over and over again. A book called Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. He experienced getting interrogated illegally by just sitting in his car that was parked in front of apartments and just listening to his radio. His first instinct was to run, which would have made him look guilty, which he thought about how if he was a teenager and ran.
Mass incarceration is the same today, and so is racial bias, which has gotten worse. Racial undercaste was always a thing in the United States, which locks them out of the white society and denies the basic rights in American citizenship. Today, they are just covered by a mask.
Killed Colonel Moses, and he was
this is a
killed
video?
during warfare, which was
Historical court.
Illinois.
I'm done. There's a tar.
The tribe and others
And 3 there.
Hold it right here, hold it right here.